My neighbor was a retired English teacher for 30 years until federal agents evacuated our entire street at 3 a.m. to defuse something in his garage. I lived next door to Mr. Pearson for 15 years. He helped with my homework, hosted neighborhood barbecues, and told stories about teaching Shakespeare to high schoolers before retirement. When a tactical team raided his house last winter and evacuated our entire block at 3 a.m., we learned the truth. He was a former Soviet weapons expert who defected, retired from the Department of Energy at 58, and had been disarming unstable Cold War devices in his garage for decades. The most ordinary-looking people often lead the most extraordinary lives. Alan Pearson moved to our sleepy Connecticut suburb in 1992. The moving truck delivered typical retire belongings: books, a comfortable armchair, gardening tools. He told neighbors he'd spent his career teaching English literature at various high schools, now looking for a quiet place to enjoy retirement. For 15 years, I lived next door to this pleasant, unremarkable man. He corrected my college application essays, watered my parents' plants during vacations, and hosted an annual Memorial Day barbecue where he'd quote poetry while flipping burgers. Mr. Pearson was everything you'd expect from a retired English teacher: well-read, slightly absent-minded, with reading glasses perpetually perched on his head. His only quirks were a meticulously maintained garage he kept locked at all times and occasional late-night visitors who arrived in unmarked government vehicles. Former students, he explained when I once asked. Some work for the government now, they check in occasionally. The truth arrived at 3:17 a.m. on a freezing February morning in 2019. I woke to blinding lights flooding my bedroom and a voice on a megaphone ordering all residents to evacuate immediately. Allied tactical teams in specialized gear had cordoned off the entire block. Men in hazmat suits were approaching Mr. Pearson's garage. Grab essentials, only moves quickly. Follow personnel to designated safe zones, the voice instructed as confused neighbors emerged from their homes. At the school gymnasium serving as our emergency shelter, a Department of Energy official finally provided a sanitized explanation around dawn. A potentially unstable device has been identified. Specialized teams are conducting controlled neutralization procedures. The real story emerged 3 days later when we were allowed to return home. Mr. Pearson, parent, or Dr. Alexei Petrovich, as he was actually named, parent, had never taught English. He was a Soviet nuclear physicist who defected to the United States in 1986, bringing critical intelligence about tactical nuclear devices. After working for the Department of Energy for decades, he retired to our neighborhood, except he hadn't actually retired for 30 years. He had been privately consulting on specialized weapon neutralization projects. That locked garage contained a workshop where he occasionally received and disarmed unstable Cold War-era devices too sensitive to transport to government facilities. The evacuation occurred when sensors detected radiation leakage from a partially degraded device recently recovered from an abandoned military installation in Eastern Europe. I've disarmed 67 similar devices in that garage, he told me matter-of-factly when I finally worked up the nerve to ask him directly. This was the first time he hears been any complication. His casual tone suggested this was no more remarkable than grading papers. My neighbors reacted differently to this revelation. Some moved away immediately. Others pretended nothing had happened. Most landed somewhere in between, peril, fascinated but uncomfortable living next to a man whose quiet expertise had potentially saved countless lives. The most striking detail emerged during a community meeting with government officials seeking to reassure residents. When someone angrily demanded to know why such dangerous work happened in a residential neighborhood, a senior official responded with unexpected candor. Dr. Petrovich has unique expertise in certain devices that cannot be replicated. The protocols he developed have prevented numerous catastrophic incidents. His work requires specialized tools that cannot be transported,